Chambers of the Occult may contain content that might not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
This is Jay.
Alexis is gone.
What? I'm here.
Who
You
are
didn't
you?
say hi.
I did. I did. I don't think you guys heard me, or I don't think I said it loud enough.
Probably
Now,
not.
Karen, introduce yourself for the people that didn't hear it. For the people in the back.
I'm Alexis.
Put some enthusiasm into it.
Hi, I'm Alexis.
Okay, too much. Too much.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I think that was perfect. And this is episode 7.
7. Wow.
Woo.
It's been like months already.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
started this in January. We're in April.
That's crazy. We're in April, y'all.
Time flies.
We're in the
feel
second
like
quarter of
March.
2024.
I feel like literally March just started, and now we're in April. It's weird.
No, seriously.
You're not wrong.
I know. Time is an illusion. I'm telling you. After watching Arrival, time is not a thing anymore.
So why were you late?
You know?
It's all a perception. You're like, no, you guys were just early. I was
She
in
lost her
time.
concept of time. Yeah.
No, I was early. You guys were late. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
I'm always on time.
So, Alexis,
Yeah,
you're starting us off today.
I am.
Yeah. Do you have
Okay.
something fun for us? Or do you have something dark for us?
Gator bugs. Okay, so like we're
What?
staying in the States. We're staying in the States today.
The state of what? Like-
United States of America.
Like gas, solid,
Bruh.
or
I hate
Plasma?
that you exist.
yeah. Huh?
Victorian ectoplasma?
Plasma.
What?
Plasm?
Plasma.
Plasm. What?
Is it what?
You literally taught me that it's plasm.
Is it? No. Oh, is it?
It's ectoplasm. Get on with your story.
Anyway,
Yes, get started, please.
welcome to the Chambers of the podcast. Anyways,
We already did that.
I'm kidding. Okay, so
It just sounds like she wants to give the introduction, so we'll let her do it from now on.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Just me.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people do listen to this podcast purely for my voice. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just for
And
feeling.
we lost them.
Okay, so we're going to Colorado.
Ooh.
Oh. Sick,
Now, before I
brother.
say this, I just want to say a lot of people are going to hate me or question me for saying this or whatever. But I literally had never heard about this until a couple of years ago when my brother and I were talking. It was in the middle of the night and he was like, "Hey, you know this and this?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And he showed me a documentary and we just watched documentaries all night. And, so I'm covering the Columbine High School massacre. So it takes place in Columbine, Colorado.
Okay.
April 20th, 1999, when Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold had opened fire and attempted to bomb Columbine High School, killing 12 students and 1 teacher. So to give a little bit, I don't want to give a lot of backstory on Harris and Klebold just because I don't really feel like they deserve it. They don't deserve that. But Eric was 18 at the time. Dylan was 17. And they met in the 7th grade. Harris's father, he was actually in the Air Force. And so their family was consistently like moving around to different places. But they stuck around in Columbine because his father had retired. Klebold, his parents, funnily enough, were pacifists, and Dylan did not follow on that path. So now to get into a little bit of their history, their kind of like criminal history. So Eric Harris was 15 in 1996 when he created a private website on AOL. And
AOL.
Yeah, I know. So he started a blog, and he would basically just talk about how he would sneak out and just cause all kinds of mischief. And by the end of that year was when it became apparent that he had this hatred towards society. And so he started giving instructions on how to make explosives.
He started giving, or he started taking?
He started, just like giving instructions.
Like he wrote a blog and he was like outlining how to create explosives.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Dog with a blog.
No, for real. Oh my God, I found out that dog died. I didn't even know that.
From Dog with a Blog?
Yeah.
Oh.
So sad.
Anyways, you said Colorado, and you said how many notes you had for this story, and like in the back of my mind, I was like, it's gonna be Columbine, but like it didn't fully register that it was gonna be Columbine.
Yeah.
So, take it away.
Columbine is
you never know what she could have dug up.
No, exactly. I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I watched the documentary, but I decided to do like more research after I watched the documentary, but then I decided to do it again before the episode. And like, still I found new information, but, when he was writing these blogs, he would talk about how when he was sneaking out and all that, he would call them rebel missions, and he would have these like blogs. Yeah.
Bro thinks he's in a video game.
Literally. In August 1997 was when concerns started to be raised about Harris's website after he had gone into detail about his murderous fantasies. So he had actually written, quote, "All I want to do is kill and injure as many of you as I can, especially a few people, like Brooks Brown," end quote. Brooks was actually a friend of Harris. Their families knew of each other from what I had done research on. And that friendship between him and Harris would eventually save his life. So, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later on. Now, on August 7th, 1997, Brooks's parents had seen what they had wrote and had filed a complaint and went to the police about the situation. And so an investigator had written a request for a search warrant on Harris's house, but it was never submitted to the judge. So like that wasn't done. Yeah. Which I have no idea how that happened. I tried to figure out why, like if there was anything surrounding that time that they shifted their focus on that instead of this, but I don't know. Anyways, they eventually, Harris and Klebold got arrested for breaking into a white van and stealing tools and computer equipment on January 30th, 1998. Yeah. And so they went to a joint court hearing and they pled guilty to felony theft and were sentenced to a juvenile diversion program, basically like an intervention program where they had to go to anger management classes and talk to diversion officers.
We know
They
that
were
didn't
released
work.
program within weeks
Yeah.
because they were showing positive actions and were then placed on probation. Now, shortly after the hearing was when Eric Harris started to write and journal all of his thoughts. Klebold.
Do you know if he was blogging them or was it like a personal journal?
It was a personal journal.
Okay.
Yeah. And Klebold had also had a personal journal, but he had been doing it since March of 1997. And in November of that same year, Klebold had actually mentioned wanting to go on a killing spree in his journal.
Oh.
Yeah. Eventually, the both of them started writing, basically, essentially plotting the day of the attack.
So these journals, they were recovered like after everything happened?
They are currently open to the public. I believe you can even buy their journal from Amazon.
Oh no.
Bro, that's like buying the fucking like Communist Manifesto. Like that's crazy. What?
Now, do you know if like both of them were writing about like, you know, being a mass massacre, or was it just one of them?
It was both of them. Yeah, they both were talking about, they both were literally planning on this day for a year prior. And they wrote about it all the time. Harris actually wrote about how after they would attack, they would hijack an aircraft in Denver. And honestly, this was like crazy to me because they planned to crash the plane into New York City.
Mm-hmm.
This is before 2001. So like, I don't know. That was kind of crazy to me. But anyways, Harris and Klebold wrote everything in their journal, including sexual interests. Klebold was kind of embarrassed to admit it, but he had a foot fetish, and he also.
Sorry,
he wrote it down.
You know, I'm not sorry. Fuck him. Yeah, I know. Fuck you, bro.
I was reading it, and he was talking about how he had a foot fetish and how he enjoyed extreme bondage.
Oh,
now, like I said, he was kind of embarrassed about it. Eric Harris, was loud and proud. He
had the same fetish?
No. He had a different. No.
About his like sexual deviancy shit.
Yes, he would literally describe his desire of, trigger warning, raping and torturing women in his bedroom, and even going as far as dismembering them. As like he would only dismember the women he would have animalistic sex with, and he would eat flesh. Like that guy was like, I literally read that and I was like, this is fucking disgusting. Sorry for my language, but those of you who are listening, but like, this is literally disgusting.
We give them a warning that the language they hear might not be appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it didn't only show in their personal journals, it showed in their schoolwork too. They would display violence on their classwork, specifically in their creative writing class.
That's what I was about to ask. It was like, was it like an essay?
I was like, they took a test and they were like doodling on it afterwards, and they just like doodled them killing people. But okay, no, it makes sense. Creative writing essays. Yeah.
So Harris wrote a paper for school on school shootings and named it Guns in School in December of 1997. And then he wrote a poem from the perspective of a bullet.
You know, if I didn't know what comes next, I would say that's actually kind of a cool idea.
Kind of cool, yeah. No, literally, I thought the same thing. Like, it just,
unfortunate.
I don't know. It is very unfortunate. But like, Dylan Klebold also would write things, but he would write so much crazy stuff that it concerned the creative writing teacher, and she had to alert his parents due to him writing a short story about a man killing students. So I'm glad
that the teacher reached out, but clearly we know how that ended anyway.
I know. I think, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me because like I was reading all of this and I was like, dude, they were showing signs years prior. Like, I don't know. But anyways, obviously there was like a pattern. There was a pattern from both Harris and Klebold of them expressing interest in not only murder, but in war. So they shared a psychology class and they were assigned a project. Harris ended up writing a paper on Nazi Germany, and Klebold wrote a paper about Charles Manson.
Not surprising. Yeah.
No. And then
it's not surprising, but at the same time, you can think these are high schoolers.
Literally, yeah. And
yeah.
I don't know. I guess like that's why. I don't know. That's me like kind of justifying for them as to why they didn't take it seriously. Those that were around them at the time, like
yeah. But I would imagine if you're like a teacher and you get a paper about, the World War, or you get one from Charles Manson, I would imagine depending how long the teacher has been there, it's like, okay, but how many other times has this teacher received a very similar paper?
No, seriously.
Yeah. Harris also wrote another paper about him wanting to go on a killing spree with Klebold for his psychology class.
Dude, what? And like,
yeah.
What? And this was just never like fully investigated or anything like that?
No. They didn't fully investigate
what?
Because like keep in mind at this point, not to justify it or anything, because it's nothing about this is okay, but like this was in 1997. I'm not entirely sure how many school shootings there were, but like it wasn't a common.
Not this even like what?
Then I was just gonna say no. This like literally made history within the law enforcement department because like before this shooting, they did not know how to handle school shootings.
No, I know. Like school shootings just weren't a thing before this, really. But like even besides that, like I know it was 1997 and things are a lot different now. But I have taken I personally have taken like extensive like mandated reporter trainings. Like I mean like state registered mandated reporter, and like I would have to report something like that. Like it's just crazy to let that slide. I don't know.
And it speaks to the different year that it was. Nowadays, it's a lot more common. People have more education. And where does that education come from? Incidents like this.
No, exactly. Like this is why we have so many things in place.
But like I was reading this and I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like they were not secretive about how they wanted to shoot literally anybody. Like they just wanted to kill anybody. They didn't care who it was. All they cared about was having that notoriety of causing havoc in the world.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has to do with the fact that they saw that no one really cared or that no one paid attention to what they were doing.
That's literally what it is,
100% what it was.
In the documentary, by the way, I just to plug the documentary real quick. I'm not entirely sure how great it is. There are other documentaries like A Real Crime and I don't know other ones, but this one was 0 Hour. That's the documentary I watched.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
So
where did you watch it?
It's on Amazon now for free. So if you want to watch it on there,
cool.
Or freebie, I don't know. But like, both of them. There's a lot, but like, both of them said they got treated like crap at school. They weren't invited to fun things by people and things like that, which caused a lot of resentment towards those specific people.
Were they bullied?
The research that I did never revealed whether they were bullied or not, because they did have friends. whether they were jocks or not, despite the stereotypical jocks and all that. They had friends. Nobody
I definitely
really
bully them.
bothered. But it's like nothing goes into specifics with that. No, you're fine. That was fun. Okay, back on track. Okay. So, in Eric Harris's 1998 yearbook, just a year before the shooting, Klebold wrote a message saying, quote, "Killing enemies, blowing up stuff, killing cops. My wrath for January's incident will be godlike. Not to mention our revenge in the Commons." End quote. Commons
They literally sound like Call of Duty players.
No, yeah.
And that also sounds like he was already making the announcement.
Yeah.
So that was the writings. That was all the writings. Now it's time for me to get into the tapes.
Okay.
So Harris and Klebold had 5 videotapes, which they recorded using, this is bold, school equipment, since they enrolled in the video production classes. So 3 of the tapes were basically just them detailing plans for the massacre as well as their reasons behind it. They would even share the hiding spots in their room for their weapons and show ways as to how they would deceive their parents. The other 2 tapes had been labeled Hitmen for Hire and Rampart Range. And
so all it would have taken would have been for that teacher to go through the tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was another one. It was like part of a third. It was known as Radioactive Clothing, but like these tapes were known as the basement tapes, as most of them were recorded in Harris's basement at the time. But the last tape they recorded was 30 minutes prior to the massacre, and they had made a video dedicated to their friends and families saying goodbye and apologizing to them as well, which is like, I don't know. I hate that, to be honest. I hate
the fact that there's an apology in there to their own families just kind of shows me that they actually don't care, and that apology that had no meaning to them.
No, seriously.
Sure. No, I think it's worse that they made this video to their friends and families apologizing. Like I think that's worse than just doing it without saying anything. Because
I mean, they knew what they were doing. They're not going to get away with. Otherwise, why would they be apologizing?
Yeah, no, I don't even think it's about that. I think it's just like, I don't think they're really apologizing. Of course, they're not. But
they're not.
But I think it's more than that. I think it's just I think a part of them felt like they were going to get away with it. You know, and I think that's what the video was for, in a way.
Yeah.
Because they did have plans after it to go to, crash into New York City. They did still have somewhat of a hope that they would get away with this. And
is there any plans that they had laid out on how to get a plane?
No, there's not at all.
Wow.
That was one thing I looked into. But there had been an article published on the tapes by Time magazine. At the time, only the investigators had seen these tapes in December 1999. But then the families of the victims had decided to sue Jefferson County. And so they were allowed to view the tapes as well as the journals. But eventually that led to both of the tapes and the journals being withheld from the public. Eventually the tapes were destroyed out of fear in 2011.
They were destroyed?
Yeah, they were scared that if they kept this around for everyone to see, that it would happen again. If not, it would be worse. Like, people would get ideas from it, essentially.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't, but I mean,
I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really think destroying the tapes, in my opinion, makes a difference. Like, I think if people want to do that, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. It's not really gonna stop anything.
No. One of the victims' fathers had actually recorded a short clip of some of the dialogue. He claimed that he was gonna make copies and send it to the news station, but never did. But the recordings by the father still exist. I did try looking for them, but I didn't find much luck. But Harris had left a micro cassette labeled Nixon on his kitchen table before the massacre. He stated it is less than 9 hours now, which means that he recorded it at roughly around 2:30 a.m. But he talked about how, quote, it will be a day that will be remembered forever. People will die because of me.
God.
And
this is sick, especially because it sounds like he's excited for this.
18, yeah. No, he is. He literally is. He talks about it in his videotapes. Like, I'm so excited for this. I can't wait. Like, he says that shit, and he's proud. He's been waiting for this his whole life, is what he says, and he shows it in every action and everything that he does and says, and it's quite baffling. I don't know. Baffling.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So I did mention the other two tapes, the Hitman for Hire and the Rampart Range. So in an economics class, Harris and Klebold were given the task to create an ad for a business. The video they recorded was labeled Hitman for Hire. It was made on December 8th, 1998. It was released to the public in February 2004. But it depicts them being a part of the Trenchcoat Mafia, which was a clique in their school. Basically, a bunch of students that wore trench coats and opposed jocks.
But did they call themselves Mafia?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They
was there any was there any I guess ill intent in that, or were they just like, oh, we're different, we're not like the jocks, we hate the jocks,
there was no ill intent. Okay. No, they literally just thought they were cool, you know what I'm saying?
It was just like the socially awkward kids who were jealous of the jocks, so they made their own club.
Sounds like it.
They literally did. But it's kind of weird because this sounds like the perfect club for Harris and Klebold.
Yeah, it does.
They weren't a part of it. They were never in it.
Okay.
Was it because they weren't let in, or was it because they just never tried?
It never really says anything about it, but honestly, I wouldn't put it past the fact that they weren't let in. You know what I'm saying?
Either that, or they just thought they were too cool for it or something. I could definitely see that as well.
Yeah, that's very fitting to their character. Yeah. So they I don't know. Basically, Hitman for Hire, it kind of seems like it was somewhat of a rehearsal for the shooting. They wore black trench coats. They wore black trench coats on that day. And in the video, they were shooting bullies. They were just shooting them. And so, to me, pretty much the rehearsal of it, that they just used as a school project. And then there was another tape that they made on March 6, 1999, that was taken in nearby foothills. It was labeled Rampart Range. And it shows them two doing target practice and talking about their weapons that they would use for the attack. Eventually, the tape was released October 21st, 2003. Now, you guys, I don't know if I said it when it. Yeah, I don't know if I said it when we were recording, but like I said, I have 12 pages of information. A vast majority of it is literally the weapons that they had and used on that day.
Yeah, you didn't tell the listeners, so now would be a good time for them to go grab some popcorn, some peanuts.
No, literally I have every single weapon they used in right.
Oh no.
Oh, did we lose
I wasn't
her?
sure if that was me or her.
No, I think we lost her.
You know, and she was never seen again.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I
all,
guess while
folks.
while we're here in the intermission, I guess, now's a really good time to grab some popcorn.
Yeah. Go ahead. We'll let you know when she's back.
Yeah. Also, fuck Dan Schneider.
Honestly.
Wanted to put that out there.
I think it's implied, but it's always good to say it.
Yeah.
It's always good to say it, you know?
I haven't watched Quiet on Set yet, but like I know a bunch of people who have, and like Alexis has, and yeah. I mean, all that stuff that happened is pretty terrible.
And the fact that we live in a country where school shootings are so common, it's still like mind-boggling.
Dude, yeah. I don't understand it. I understand we have our, our Second Amendment constitutional right, but like that does not mean that we need to put the importance of owning assault rifles that nobody's ever going to fucking use over the health and safety of our people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I grew up around guns. My stepdad was like a correctional officer, so he we had guns and we would go out shooting, and like I do have, I guess, respect for guns in sort of the way that like, they can be very dangerous, but I also recognize the fact like that they can be a tool, but only to some extent. I don't know. There just needs to be so much more like gun reform and control and supervision over how we hand out guns to people. And honestly, it'd be so easy to do.
Yeah.
It would be so easy to do. It's just nobody is like actually, I don't know, having the initiative to do so.
Yeah, and what sucks is that anytime that there's cases like this, where they find out that they have like piles and piles of like ammunition and guns, and that they purchase them like the day before or the week before the shooting, it's too late by that point. There's never like, you don't hear, I mean, maybe you do, but like you don't hear as often of like, oh, they stopped this person that had purchased, this many guns, and then like we found a journal that said that they were going to have this mass shooting.
Like that just doesn't happen. And
it'd be nice, It
would be nice if we could shut it down before it even happens, but
then people get political.
Yeah. Like it's literally not even about politics. And that's the most thing. Like I understand we have a constitutional right to own weapons, and I don't want to infringe on that, whatever that means, but like come on. You needed guns back then to protect your property from all sorts of different stuff. We don't need that type of weaponry nowadays.
And I think that's where the issue comes in. Hello, welcome back. We're just talking about guns.
To you guys this whole time, and I didn't even realize that it was gone.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Even gone for
I was literally talking.
Yeah, you ghosted us.
Sorry. My fault. Okay, I'm back better than ever. Okay, what did you guys hear last?
That you have pages and pages of guns.
Oh wow, you guys! I literally just went on about their guns, and I thought you guys
it's been a while.
about it.
It's been a while.
Okay. Now I have to. Okay, so a couple months prior to the shooting, Harrison Klebold got 2 9mm firearms and 2 12-gauge shotguns. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Kai. But if you do, that's cool. And then.
Wow, I like that you assume that I know, but I doesn't.
Oh, because like I know guns.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I just went. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
And then Harris got a High Point 99 carbon rifle with 13 10-round magazines. So like pretty.
God damn.
Yeah. It's kind of insane. I don't even know.
It goes back to like what Kai and I were saying before, like you came back. It's like, yeah, you have a right to have guns, but like, why do you need like this crazy ones?
No, literally, I think like that's why I'm like, okay, hunters, y'all want to like get your deer and eat it, have your venison, whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But like
while you were
AR?
gone, while you were gone, I was literally saying that like guns are a tool to some extent. Like the amount of weaponry that so many people have today with like assault rifles and things like that, it's just not necessary ever.
No.
It is not necessary ever. I don't know.
I don't know how they got most of their weapons. I tried, but I do know how they got some of them. Klebold also had a 9mm Intratec TEC 9 semi-automatic handgun. That's a really
Tech
long.
9? That's crazy.
Yeah. And then he also had a double-barreled shotgun. Harris's shotgun was sawed off to around 26 inches. Klebold shortened his to 23. By the way, doing that is a felony under the National Arms Act. So like, bro, crazy. I don't know. Just for those who don't know, those are listening.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you want to protect yourself, a shotgun, that's totally fine. But it's when you start going above and beyond that it gets concerning.
No, like one of the things that like they kind of teach you with like lots of gun safety and like self-protection is that like for home protection, a shotgun is really the best option and it's all you need. Because most of the time if somebody's like breaking into your house, just racking your shotgun, the sound of that is enough to scare somebody off.
Yeah.
Like it's so loud and it's so scary and it's such a distinct sound that we all know.
Yeah.
That like
this is off topic but on topic. Don't get weird after I say this either. But like my friends. No, okay, never mind then. All right.
No, say it.
You can't leave us now. Yeah.
No, it's like it's not a good thing. My friend's friend, he had a shotgun in his house as protection, and then like one day he was drunk and he was feeling sad. He ended up accidentally killing himself with the shotgun. So.
Oh. That's yeah.
Yeah, you might want to cut that out, Jay. You might want to cut that out.
No, because you are telling a dark story. Like, your whole segment is it's a very dark story. So if anything, that story just kind of, contributes to the darkness of it.
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to say with that is guns can be dangerous and we all need to exercise caution, especially, with the people who are able to supply us with these weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, you just want to be educated on whatever you have. It's the same with like if you go adopt a dog, a cat, you're going to educate yourself on how to take care of them. If you go get yourself a gun, you got to educate yourself on how to take care of a gun, like how to maintain it, how to properly use it, all that stuff. It doesn't really matter on what you buy. You can go buy a brand new stove. You have to learn how to use it the right way. So I think it just goes to say that to avoid accidents, just learn to use the things you own.
Definitely.
Just be safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't know how they got some of their weapons, but I do know that on November 22nd, 1998, Robin Anderson, their friend, purchased a carbine rifle and 2 shotguns for them too. So for a gun show. And after the shooting, investigators had questioned her and she told them that she simply just bought it for them because she thought that they just wanted target practice. She literally denied prior knowledge to any of their plans. And so she was not charged. But I'm going to be real for a second. Whether you knew or not, you should never have given them those guns. You knew they were legally not allowed to purchase those guns themselves. So you did it for them. You went out of your way to do that. You should have been held responsible for that in some way, in my personal opinion. That's
so she was not held responsible for it?
She was not charged or anything.
To be fair, I think the law states that if you're given a gun by your parent, then you are legally allowed to own it. you just can't purchase a gun yourself. So if that actually is how it is, then I see. Oh wait.
No, it's just a friend.
Yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it also, the laws back in that time and
it's 1997.
1997 in Colorado. I might know some
Colorado did not give a fuck. Colorado still does not give a fuck.
Nah.
No. But the fact that she didn't know what was happening and she should be held responsible, I think the fact that she just has to live with that guilt is more than enough punishment for her.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, that's only if, like you said, she had no prior knowledge of what was going to happen.
Exactly. Like if she was completely oblivious to it, then okay. But I don't know. Well, nothing we can do about it now. So
what we do know is that Harris and Klebold both had part-time jobs at Blackjack Pizza. Kind of a sick name for a pizza place, though. Not gonna lie. But anyways,
what was their specialty?
Oh, don't ask me that. I don't know. But one of their coworkers, Philip Duran, bought Klebold the Tech 9 handgun, and also got it from Philip Duran and also Mark Maines, another man who had been working there, for $500 for another gun show on January 23rd. So that's how another one of their weapons was bought. And then after the shooting, Maines and Duran were both prosecuted, and they were charged for supplying a handgun to a minor, and then were sentenced to a total of 6 years. So they were in prison after that. In addition to all the firearms that they also had several improvised explosive devices. Harris and Klebold constructed a total of 99 bombs. So they were pipe bombs, carbon dioxide cartridges filled with gunpowder, so crickets is what they're called. They had Molotov cocktails and propane tanks converted to bombs.
And they all added up to 99.
Hey.
99. So the propane bombs were used in the cafeteria at the time. And they were also in the shooters' cars as well. And they were also placed in another location in an attempt as a diversion. I'll get more into detail about that. But they carried match strikers. They had them taped to their forearms for easy ignition. So,
oh my god,
crazy, yeah. And they had CO2 bombs and pipe bombs on them.
This was a year in the making.
Yeah.
No, like they heavily prepared. They also had a flamethrower.
What? Okay, I just want to know, like, where do you go buy a flamethrower?
No, literally. I don't know.
Was it like a full-on flamethrower?
Yeah, it was a full-on flamethrower. A flamethrower. A thrower that flames. Yeah.
A thrower that flames.
Yeah.
I made a flamethrower in 7th grade, or was it 8th grade? I don't know.
Really?
But it couldn't do shit.
Oh.
It was like a caulking gun, and then I put on a can of I don't know, some flammable bug spray or something on top of it, and I something like that, and I makeshifted it where I pulled the trigger for the caulk gun and it would squeeze the can so that it would spray.
Insane.
It would spray the liquid, and then I taped a match or it was like a stick or something that I lit on fire. So there was just like an open flame at the end of it. And then I would pull the trigger and it would spray the like flammable liquid and it would make it a flamethrower.
Projects, honestly.
No, it literally was. It was for class.
No, that's great though.
Hi. What? No, respectfully, this is why I call you what I call you.
Shut the hell up.
Oh, I was gonna be like, do you call him arsonist?
No, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
No, like, okay, so it was in like a literature class or something. We had just finished reading Fahrenheit 451.
Yes.
And so our teacher was like, okay, you guys are going to make like a presentation. Like you can create something like based off the book, blah, blah, blah. And I went up to my teacher and I was like, can I make a flamethrower? She was like, sure. So I made a flamethrower. I like recorded the video of it and we played it in class and I presented the video of me using it. And then she was like, okay, yeah, nobody ever make a flamethrower ever again. She was like,
that's pretty badass, though, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You're probably like the first child that ever asked her, can I make a flamethrower? She's like, sure, go try your luck at that.
Oh, I think I was.
Quote, flamethrower. And then you show up with the video and she's like, okay, no one else gets to make one now.
I gotta find the video now. I'll send it to you guys like sometime later if I'm able to find it.
That would be really cool.
Anyway, tangent, weird.
No, yeah. If you can find it, just send it. We'll put it on the Instagram post.
Okay, to continue.
I can do it. Flamethrower.
Okay.
Did they also have like a homemade flamethrower, or was it? I don't know.
I don't know. I just know it's a flamethrower. But like Harris, like I said earlier, he like gave instructions on his blog. So he taught people how to make pipe bombs, Molotovs, and even shrapnel, which is, for those who are listening may not know, shrapnel is basically like what's left of like a bullet or a bomb after it explodes. So like just pieces of it, basically.
Okay.
Shrapnel is like when you think of like a grenade.
Yeah.
It's actually not the explosion that does the damage, it's the shrapnel. Because it's like little bits of basically knives flying out at you in every direction. So
Yeah, you explained it better. Thank you. Okay, so that they had 8 propane tanks, all converted into bombs. Which, how the hell do you get propane tanks?
Well, I go to the Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie. Yeah. It's really easy to buy propane tanks.
It is.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That part I can understand how they got them.
Well, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, though, kind of crazy that there's no, like, regulations or whatever on, like, getting propane tanks.
Yeah.
I could literally go to, like, Home Depot right now, come back with a propane tank in 20 minutes. And
you know where else you could go?
Yeah.
Texaco gas station, which is where Harris went, and he was caught on camera at 9:12 in the morning.
Oh my God.
He was buying a Blue Rhino propane tank.
Oh.
And then they both in Harris's car and in Klebold's car, they both had bombs in them. So there was 20-pound propane tanks, there was pipe bombs, and then there was like, they also filled up their car with gas. And so, of course, that would cause a massive explosion if it were to have exploded.
Yeah.
They also had knives on them. So they were like fully equipped. They had like a Cobra knife. They had like a machete Bowie knife. They had a boot knife, and they had it attached to their belts and their ankles. Their machete even had a swastika on the sheath of it. Like, yeah, they had a switchblade. Yeah, that's like one thing that they do mention, is that they do target specific people. In the documentary and in their own journal, I believe, they would say how they hated blacks, they hated Spics, they hated white people, and they would say But you know what else I hate? Racist.
Oh, what?
Which is like, what? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, like the reason why they said they hated race is because, like, why do you think you're above a certain race? Like, why do you think you're better than them, you know? And it's like, why do you think you're better?
Yeah, why do you hate these people?
Yeah.
Take a look in the mirror.
No, literally. Okay, so now that I got the most of the weapons out of the way, there's still a lot more that I didn't mention, just because I didn't feel like they were important. Yeah. But now we're getting into the shooting. And the shooting, I'm not going to lie to you, this is going to take, it's a while.
Go ahead.
It went on for a very long time. So on the day of the shooting, Harris and Klebold had planted bombs in the cafeteria, and they planned for it to detonate during the busiest hour of lunch, which would potentially kill about 488 students. And yeah, like hundreds of students, not just 10, not just 20, hundreds.
Yeah.
And they also planted propane bombs into each of their cars to detonate while, you know, like if there were students or police or paramedics or reporters going to the school, it would detonate.
Yeah.
And they had fired like a total of 188 rounds of ammunition. Harris had fired from his carbine rifle 96 times, nearly twice as much as Klebold did. 47 of those shots being outside on school property, 36 being inside, and 13 being in the library. And the library, I differentiate from the others because the library was the worst of it all. So, and I'll get further into that, but Harris had also discharged his shotgun 25 times, 4 times inside the school, 21 in the library. Klebold fired his handgun actually 55 times, 3 of those shots being outside, 31 being inside, and 21 being in the library.
I didn't know there was such like detailed info about.
No, it gets
like,
really
shots
detailed.
Fired.
Yeah, it talks about the time. This was a very well documented shooting. Like everything was. Yeah.
It's unfortunate how it's so well documented, but I think it's part of the reason it's so well documented. It's because it was really well planned out. It wasn't like a last minute thing. There was plans for this.
This also just like this also made history. Like they wanted it to make history. They didn't want it to just be one regular, not to sound insensitive, but like one regular shooting. But they wanted it to be something that, like they said, will be remembered forever by generations. Klebold had fired his double-barreled guns with 12 rounds, twice outside, 4 times inside. And there had even been an exchange of gunfire between the shooters and law enforcement. Law enforcement had fired a total of 141 rounds during that exchange. And on Tuesday, April 20th, 1999, Harris and Klebold planted 2 duffel bags inside the school cafeteria sometime around 11:15. And we know this because just a minute before, 1 single minute, a custodian had changed the tape to the security footage. So there's no footage of them placing the bombs in the cafeteria.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they did get footage of them at 10:58 being inside the cafeteria, but they were separate. They were by themselves. So it is possible that they planted bombs then, but it is also unlikely as well. So that's the only footage they got before. Which honestly, I think I don't know if it was planned. I don't know if they knew that they would change the tape at that time, but if they did, holy crap, dude.
Yeah, like that's planned out.
Yeah. So Neil Gardner, he was a deputy. He was assigned to supervise the campus essentially as like a school resource officer full time. and he was on his lunch around the time of the attack, and he was parked adjacent to the school. And as a distraction, Harris and Klebold had actually planted 2 backpacks filled with pipe bombs, aerosol canisters, and small propane bombs in a field 3 miles away from the school, so that, fire department, police, everyone would be more targeted towards that fire that was going on there rather than the school.
Yeah.
And that's also insane to me. The fact that you literally planned a diversion as well. But I did mention earlier that Harris had a blog, and he talked about how he would murder and torture anybody, and how he would kill specifically Brooks Brown. So they were friends at one point. I believe their families even knew of each other. And Brooks Brown had actually seen Harris pull into the school parking lot. And he was kind of surprised to see him at first. And the reason why is because Harris hadn't shown up for a test. And that was super out of character for him. Like, he was a kid that was very good in school. He didn't miss anything.
Type of thing.
Perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he was he kind of cussed him out a little bit. He was bantering with him a bit. He was like, why didn't you show up for class? And kind of teasing him for that. And Harris replied with, "It doesn't matter anymore. Brooks, I like you now. Get out of here. Go home."
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah. And he did. He did exactly what he told him. And that saved his life that day.
I wonder how he felt after that.
I'm not saying this is how he felt, but personally me, with how my mental state is, I would feel guilty. I would have that.
There is definitely that survivor's guilt on that he has.
I think that would be completely normal for anyone who went through that.
Yeah.
But he did write a book.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Yeah.
He's really open about the situation. He made a book called No Easy Answers. So if anyone wants to read that, he talks about the Columbine shooting. But Harris and Klebold were fully equipped with weapons. They both had trench coats on, but beneath them, Harris had been wearing I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but a military bandolier, which is basically like a crisscross pocket for weapons and ammunition. That's what it looks like. Okay. It doesn't have to be crisscross, but it's just a pocket for guns and ammo. And a white shirt. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. A white shirt that read Natural Selection. Yeah, Klebold wore a black shirt with the red letters saying Wrath. Wrath was his huge thing. He that was his word of the century. I don't know.
Just when you think things can't get worse, there's little things like that just contribute more to it.
It's it shows how much thought they put into it. They got dressed up for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at 11:19 a.m., it was lunchtime at Columbine, and 17-year-old Rachel Scott and Richard Castaldo had been sitting outside on the grass next to the west entrance of the school when Dylan Klebold had thrown a pipe bomb towards the parking lot. It only partially detonated, but at the time, Rachel Scott and Richard Castaldo, they both thought it was a senior prank. It was that time of the year.
Uh-huh.
And Harris had eventually directed his attention towards Rachel and Richard and shot Rachel 4 times with his rifle. And both Harris and Klebold shot Castaldo 8 times in the chest, arm, and abdomen, leaving him paralyzed below the chest. And after Klebold had experienced a malfunction with his Tech 9, it basically just jammed. He stopped firing, but eventually he reloaded a new magazine into his pistol. And as he did that, Harris took off his trench coat and aimed his rifle at Daniel Robo, Sean Graves, and Lance Kirkland, firing 10 times. He killed Robo, and Graves and Kirkland were injured. The gunshots were heard by a teacher, William David Sanders, and he immediately started to warn the students. Now, adjacent to the steps, just a few steps down, Harris had opened fire in the direction of 5 students that were on a grassy hill. Michael Johnson, he was shot in the face, leg, and arm. Somehow, thankfully, he managed to escape. Mark Taylor, he was shot in the chest, arms, and legs. He fell to the ground and then proceeded to fake his death. He played dead. And
Smart.
The other 3 students managed to escape uninjured. And shortly after that, Klebold had made his way towards the cafeteria, shooting the body. Yeah.
Do you know how long it took, like, the staff or like the cops to find out that it was like students that were doing this shooting?
Yeah. I am gonna get into the time because I have the exact time frame as to when they found out.
Awesome.
But he shot the boy that was already dead, Robor. His name is, what was it? Daniel. He was already dead, and he shot him again with his shotgun, and then went to Lance Kirkland, who was already wounded, and he was calling for help. And Klebold said, "Sure, I'll help you," and shot Kirkland in the jaw. Graves was...
You'll probably go over that, but like, how do they know he said that? Like, did they get like the...
Oh, there was witnesses around.
Okay.
Yeah, there was witnesses around, so like a lot of people heard everything that they would say.
Got it.
And some of it, when it comes to inside the school, you could hear it with the footage. And also there was a 911 call. So like, that's how we got a lot of their quotes. But, Graves, he was shot, but he was crawling his way into the entrance of the cafeteria. And then he stopped and he played dead when Klebold made his way over as well. And Klebold walked over and said, "Sorry, dude."
Oh.
Klebold briefly went into the cafeteria. Harris was at the top of the stairs and he was shooting and anybody that was in sight. He eventually shot and severely wounded 17-year-old Annie Marie Hodgehalter. She eventually was paralyzed, but she did make somehow her way out of that situation. She managed to escape. Klebold then joined Harris at the top of the stairs and they made their way towards the soccer field. Don't know how the stairs went up to the soccer field, but they each shot once at students that were standing in the field, but didn't hit anybody. And then they went towards the west entrance and were throwing pipe bombs. Some witnesses said they heard them say, "This is what we always wanted to do. This is awesome."
Oh my God.
Yeah. So art teacher Patty Nielsen, she made her way towards the entrance with another student, Brian Anderson, to tell the students outside to knock it off, thinking that they were pulling a prank, filming a video, when the shooters had shot the windows out, injuring Anderson with a flying glass. And he was also hit in the shoulder with the shrapnel. Yeah.
God.
So they both went down the hall, the art teacher and the student, into the library, and Nielsen had dialed 911 and hid. Anderson fell to the ground. He was bleeding a lot from his injuries, so he hid to the room adjacent to the library in the magazine room. Now, at 11:22 a.m., this is where I kind of answer your question, Jay. 11:22 a.m., a custodian had requested assistance from Gardner, the deputy on property, And just a minute later, again at 11:23, Gardner heard over the radio that a female was down, thinking that it was a woman that had been struck by a car. But as he was leaving his patrol car at 11:24, he heard a call over the radio saying, "Neil, there's a shooter in the school."
Ooh.
So at the time, Harris was at the west entrance and fired 10 shots with his rifle at Gardner from 65 yards away, which converted into feet is almost 200 feet. So almost 200 feet away, this guy was shooting. No, literally at Gardner. And as he was reloading, Gardner fired 4 rounds at Harris with his service pistol. And Harris had hid in the building, which led Gardner to believe that he hit him. But Harris reemerged and fired 4 more rounds at Gardner, but still managed to miss. So he retreated back into the building. Gardner had radioed, "Shots in the building. I need someone in the south lot with me." At this point, Harris had shot 47 times while Klebold had shot 5. No one was hit during this exchange. The shooters proceeded to make their way down the north hallway, shooting anyone in sight while throwing pipe bombs. Stephanie Munson was shot in the ankle by Klebold. She managed to escape the premises. And the shooter shot out the east entrance windows and proceeded through the hallway several times, just walking back and forth, and then made their way to the library. Now,
was the library the last stop?
Yes. Not really. It was kind of like the second, maybe even third to last stop, if you really think about it. But it was the most drastic stop. So when the call at 11:23 was made over the radio where they said female down, deputies Paul Smoker and Paul McGore, they were both motorcycle patrolmen. They took the shortest route and headed towards the west entrance, and they saw deputies Scott Taborski, Rick Searle, and Kevin Walker following them into the patrol car. The deputies had tried to rescue 2 wounded students that were found near the field. And then at 11:26, there had been another gunfight that broke out. And Harris returned to the double doors. He started shooting at Deputy Gardner, and Gardner returned the fire. Deputy Smoker fired 3 rounds at Harris with his pistol from Hilltop, and Harris retreated back into the building. And again, no one was hit. And I did mention earlier that William Dave Sanders, a teacher, was warning students. He was with 2 custodians, John Curtis and Jay Galatine, and he told the students to hide underneath the tables, and then he went up to the 2nd floor of the school. Now, Sanders was trying to secure the school as much as possible, and he was with another student at the time. They were at the end of the hallway telling the students in the library to stay put. And when they turned around, they saw Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold at the corner of the hallway.
Oh,
no.
And so they ran the opposite way.
Oh.
But Harris and Klebold shot them both. Shot Sanders twice in the back and neck. Missed the student. Klebold then tossed a pipe bomb where Sanders' collapsed body was on the floor.
Oof.
And back to Harris to the hallway library. Now, this is where we're heading to the library, 11:29 to 11:36 a.m. Harris and Klebold entered the library at 11:29, where 52 students, 2 teachers, and 2 librarians were hiding. Harris had yelled for everyone to get up so loudly that it was heard on the 911 call.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Harris fired twice with his shotgun at one of the desks. Evan Todd, a student at the time, was standing near a pillar and was hit in the eye and lower back with a wooden splinter because of how drastic that shotgun was. And he tried to take cover behind a photocopier, but then he hid behind the administrative counter. And then the shooters had walked towards the rows of computers. And Klebold saw disabled student Kyle Velasquez and shot him.
No!
In the head and back. The shooters then decided to put down their duffel bags and their ammunition, and they walked through the library. And as they were ordering people to get up, they also seemed to be enjoying themselves by saying how long they've been waiting for this and screaming, "Woo!"
They were screaming. They were celebrating.
And was that also in the 911 call?
Yeah. And of the two, it's not. Yeah.
I don't like. I get that. Like, one of the things about like murderers is that a lot of the time they're proud of their like work, but like I've never heard anyone be so just absolutely vocal about it. Like, they especially are so proud.
These are kids.
Yeah.
These are teenagers, and they are so proud to be taking these lives.
Of their fellow classmates. They've had classes with them. They had lunch with them. Teachers. Probably like middle school and elementary school with some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the two, it doesn't exactly say who, but one of the two said anybody with a white hat or sports emblem on it is dead. Which was actually a pretty common thing for jocks to wear at that high school.
Jocks, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Klebold removed his trench coat as he and Harris were back into a gunfight with law enforcement. And then eventually Klebold shot a table nearby, injuring 3 students, Patrick Ireland, Daniel Steepleton, and Mackay Hall. Harris walked through the library with his shotgun, went down on one knee, and fired a single shot underneath the first desk, hitting 14-year-old Stephen Curnow with a wound to the neck. Adjacent to the computers, Harris had fired a single shot at 17-year-old Casey Rugetseger, injuring her as it passed right through her right shoulder, grazing her neck and severed a major artery. As she was gasping for air, Harris said, "Quit your bitching." Harris then moved on. He moved on to...
No.
Like, the audacity of these fuckers.
It was further down with... it was a computer table that was further down, and it had students Cassie Bernal and Emily Wyant underneath. Harris had slapped the top of the table twice, then lowered his head down and said peekaboo before shooting Bernal in the head with a shotgun, instantly killing her.
They're having fun. It's a game.
These damn kids are treating it as a joke.
They're playing as a hide and seek. Like, that's... Yeah.
Harris then moved on to the next table and saw Bree Pasquale underneath the table and began pleading for her life. Harris asked if she wanted to die, in which Bree responded no. Harris responded with, "Everybody's gonna die." And Cleveland said, "Shoot her." Harris decided not to and said, "No, we're gonna blow up the school anyway." Klebold noticed that Ireland, I did mention like the 3 kids that were injured. Ireland had been trying to attempt to help Hall with a wound in his knee. And so Klebold shot him in the head twice, once in the foot. And he was left unconscious, but survived. Klebold then walked towards another table where he saw 18-year-old Isaiah Scholes, 16-year-old Matthew Kepter, and 16-year-old Craig Scott hiding, and then called out to Harris. Now, Isaiah Scholes, the 18-year-old, he's black, and Harris said he found an N-word, and started to try to pull him out from underneath the table. Harris left Pascal to join Klebold, so he left the person he was essentially going to torture just to taunt Scholes with derogatory terms, and then they shot him once in the chest, instantly killing him. Klebold shot and killed Kechter and said, I don't even know if I want to say this part, it's just, but I didn't know black brains could fly that far. Who's ready to die next?
Oh, but they hate racists, you know? Yeah. So, where Hall, Steepleton, and Ireland were located, Harris threw a bomb. It landed on Steepleton's thigh. So Hall quickly grabbed it and threw it behind them, and it exploded in midair. So Harris walked over and he shot where the books had fallen, and then walked back to join Klebold to the east area of the library, where he shot a display case next to the door, and then shot towards the closest table, injuring 17-year-old Mark Kintgen, hitting him in the head and shoulder. And then he turned to his left, injured 18-year-olds Lisa Kreutz, Lauren Townsend, and Valine Schnur with the same shotgun blast. And then Klebold came and fired several shots, killing Townsend. Schnur began to scream, "Oh my God, oh my God." She screamed it repeatedly, and in response, Klebold asked if she believed in God. And Schnur replied with, "Why?" And Klebold said, "God is gay," then walked away from the table. What?
Yeah.
Out of all out of everything that he said, this has been the thing that had made the least sense.
No, literally.
What the fuck?
You had no reason to say all that.
What does that even mean, bro?
Harris approached another table where there were two girls hiding. He bent down to look at them and he said, "Pathetic." Harris then moved on to another table where he fired twice, injuring 16-year-old Nicole Nolan and John Tomlin. Tomlin moved out from under the table, and Klebold shot him repeatedly, killing him.
What about Harris the librarians that were in there?
It doesn't say anything about the librarians. They weren't shot, I believe, but I don't even think they were seen, really.
Okay.
Harris walked back over to the other side of the table where Townsend was laying dead, and behind the table there was a 16-year-old girl named Kelly Fleming. She'd been next to the table because she couldn't get underneath it because there wasn't that much space for her, but that ultimately led Harris to shoot her with his shotgun, hitting her in the back of the head and killing her. He shot at the table behind Fleming, hitting Townsend when she was already dead, Kreutz again, and wounded 18-year-old Gina Park. The shooters moved to the center of the library where they reloaded their weapons at the table, and Harris then pointed his rifle under a table, but the student moved out of the way, and so he turned his gun back on the student and told him to identify himself. It was John Savage. He was actually an acquaintance of Dylan Klebold, and he asked Klebold what they were doing, to which he shrugged and said, "Oh, just killing people."
What the fuck?
Just very casually.
Just so casually.
Yeah.
Savage asked if they were going to kill him, and Klebold said what, because there was a lot of background noise. So he repeated the question, and Klebold said no and told him to run. So he ran. And after Savage left, Harris turned and fired his rifle at the table directly north of where he'd been, hitting the ear and hand of 15-year-old Daniel Mouser. Mouser retaliated. He shoved a chair at Harris, and Harris fired again and hit him in the center of the face at close range, killing him. He then moved south and fired 3 shots under another table, critically injuring 2 17-year-olds, Jennifer Doyle and Austin Eubanks. Klebold then shot once, fatally wounding 17-year-old Corey DePuter at 11:35. And there were no further victims. They had killed 10 people in the library and wounded 12. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This
like I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if much needs to be said.
Now, if anything, a moment of silence for the victims. That's what we just did.
Yeah.
These were children.
I've always known of Columbine. Like who doesn't? But
yeah. Oh, I didn't.
But I don't know. I've never looked into it. I've never researched it. I've always recognized that it's a terrible moment in history, but I've never gone into the details, and
it's horrible.
It's horrible. It's so crazy hearing about all of that and like knowing that happens and it still happens.
Yeah.
Like we have done nothing, absolutely nothing to fight that. It has been 27 years since, and it's still a problem.
Nothing has changed, and it's gotten worse over the years.
It's still a problem that literally like no other country has. And why the fuck is that? Why the fuck is that?
To Europeans or I imagine Canadians or Mexicans, anyone else, and you tell them that when you go to school, you not only have like earthquake drills or fire drills, but you have active shooter drills. The active shooter drill, it's a thing of sci-fi to them because it's so unheard of.
No, like
it's kind of crazy though thinking about it that like having active shooter drills is so normal for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I don't know about for me, but like it got to the point where like you don't think twice of having an active shooter drill. It's just like, here's another drill.
Yeah.
Let's get up, let's board our door with the furniture in the room. Let's wait for the police to clear us, and then we'll make our way out to the grass, to the fields. Like
my brother, my middle brother, older brother, he went to Willow Glen High School, and like there was this guy that told him like don't come to school tomorrow, and like there was like a thought that there was going to be a school shooting there, and like a lot of people were like, of course, scared, but also not necessarily like surprised, which is like, so sad.
When my brother was in high school, there was one point where it was like, there was some dude who I guess posted on Snapchat of like a school shooting threat or something. And so, of course, everyone took that seriously. The police did. So like they shut down the school for the day. But I think they later found out that the dude just like didn't want to do his finals that day. So he was like, let me make this threat to get everything shut down. And it's like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Because, I mean, they like of course have to take them seriously because they don't know if it's a real threat or not.
Like, you literally have to take that shit seriously because it's like, you never know.
They didn't back then, and look what happened. Like,
So, I don't know if you guys heard, but like Klebold was heard saying that they were going to start stabbing people. They never did. They headed towards the library's main counter, and Harris threw a Molotov cocktail towards the end of the library, but it failed to explode. They went close to where Todd was, where he moved after he'd been wounded, and Klebold pulled the chair out from the desk, then pointed his weapon at Todd, who was wearing a white hat, and Klebold asked if he was a jock. And when Todd said no, he responded, "Well, that's good. We don't like jocks." And then demanded to see his face. He kind of partially lifted up the hat to show his face, but tried to kind of still hide it a little bit. And when Klebold asked Todd to give him one reason why he shouldn't kill him, Todd said, "I don't want trouble." And Klebold responded back very upset and said, "Trouble? You don't even know what fucking trouble is." Todd tried to correct himself. He said, "That's not what I meant. I mean, I don't have a problem with you guys. I never will, and I never did." Klebold then told Harris he was going to let Todd live, but that if Harris wanted to, he could kill him. And Harris didn't really pay attention, so instead they just went back to the cafeteria. Klebold opened fire in the library staff break room, and then said, "One more thing," then picked up a chair and started slamming it on the computer and the library counter. Klebold joined Harris at the library entrance. The two walked out of the library at 11:36. 10 injured and 29 uninjured survivors began to evacuate the library through the north emergency exit door once they felt safe enough. Casey Ruegseger was evacuated from the library by Craig Scott, and if she hadn't been, she would have bled to death. Patrick Ireland, unconscious, and Lisa Kreutz, unable to move, stayed in the building. And Patty Nielsen, the woman who was on the 911 call, she went into the break room and hid in a cupboard. And at 12:08 p.m., this is a very important time, but I'm going to say after leaving the library, Harris and Klebold entered the science area of the school, opened fire, and caused a fire in that area as well. A teacher had extinguished it. He was hidden in a room nearby. And then the shooters proceeded to walk towards the south hallway where they shot an empty room. Then at 11:44 a.m., they were captured on the school security cameras. They went back into the cafeteria, and the recording shows Harris crouching against the rail on the staircase, firing towards the propane bombs that were still left in the cafeteria, since they didn't actually detonate. And Klebold approached the propane bomb. He kind of like examined it a little bit. Harris took a drink from one of the cups that was left behind in the cafeteria, and Klebold lit a Molotov cocktail and threw it at the propane bomb. And about a minute later, the gallon of fuel attached to the bomb ignited and caused a fire that was later extinguished by the fire sprinklers. And then they left the cafeteria at 11:46. After leaving the cafeteria, they returned to the main north and south hallways of the school, fired several shots into the walls and ceilings, and then they walked down the south hallway into the main office before returning to the north hallway. At 11:56, they returned to the cafeteria and briefly entered the school kitchen. They returned up the staircase into the south hallway at 12 o'clock, returned back into the library, which was empty. And once inside at 12:02 p.m., police were shot at again through the library windows. They returned fire. Nobody was injured. But by 12:05, all gunfire from the school had ceased. And by 12:08 p.m., both Harris and Klebold had killed themselves. Harris sat down with his back to a bookshelf and fired his shotgun through the roof of his mouth. Klebold went down on his knees and shot himself in the left temple with his Tech-9. And an article by the Rocky Mountain News stated that Patty Nielsen overheard them shout, 1, 2, 3 in unison before a loud boom. Nielsen later said that she had never spoken with either of the writers of the article. And in 2002, National Enquirer published 2 post-mortem photos of Harrison Klebold in the library. Klebold's gun was underneath his body, which is seen in the photo, which led them to believe that Harris shot Klebold before killing himself. However, some of Klebold's blood was on Harris's leg, suggesting that he had fallen onto Harris after Harris had already killed himself. Just before shooting himself, Klebold lit a Molotov cocktail on a nearby table underneath where Patrick Ireland was lying, which caught fire. Underneath the scorched film of the material was a piece of Harris's brain matter, suggesting that, he had shot himself by that point.
Yeah.
So this caused a drastic difference in how police handled those shootings, of course. Like this made history. And
for multiple reasons.
Yeah. So they replaced their tactic known as the immediate action rapid deployment tactic. So basically a 4-person team an advance is on site of any ongoing shooting, and police officers use this and of course try to neutralize the shooter as quickly as possible. Their goal is to stop the shooter at all costs, but that's not always how it works out. So that's kind of like the tactic that they use now, is just basically trying to stop the shooter from it. But
it's the one time when you absolutely cannot wait for like a SWAT team to show up. Like you have to go in. And I forget what shooting it was, but it was pretty recent.
Virginia Tech?
I think so, when like the police just like refused to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I have some words for that, but save that for another time.
Yeah.
You're not on your own on that.
This shooting was known as the most deadliest shooting up until, I believe it was Parkland High School that was given that title afterwards. But that is all that I have. There's a lot more, but like I said, to me, it's not really that important. Everything that I felt was important is everything that I shared. If there's anything that the listeners, if you guys want to hear more, potentially there could be a second part for this.
Yeah, like a part 2 or something.
Yeah. That's only if you guys really want more.
You have to write in for that. You have to let us know. We're not mind readers.
Yeah, you do have to write it. But it was hard to do research on this. Like I knew about it. I knew about it years ago.
I knew about it too. I didn't know the details, but even then, it's still hard.
Yeah, like I knew like most of the details of this, but like there were so many things that I uncovered during research recently again, and it's like this is absolutely disgusting. Like this is, I don't know, like it's hard. I don't know. Like even thinking about it, I don't know. That's like one of my worst fears.
It definitely is.
But
wow,
damn, this could get me emotional.
Thank you. No, there was a moment. I think it's when they were in the cafeteria, and then there was the boy that played dead, and he walks out and he looks at him and he says, "I'm sorry." You took a moment for that. You took a pause, just the right length, because my heart dropped thinking that he was going to shoot him on the floor.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
like, That's always
It's
been my
hard.
worst fear, being in like school and having to like, you can't even be at school, in peace. Like that shit's I don't know. Sorry.
No, I mean,
It's the reality.
It's story. It's what, unfortunately, people here prepare themselves for.
Yeah. But thank you guys.
For a while, I wanted to be a school resource officer.
Yeah.
And this was like one of the biggest reasons for that. I don't know, not really a path for me currently, I guess, but
but it was an option at some point.
Definitely at some point it was something I felt very important to do. Yeah.
And like the police, they did not handle the situation as well as they could have, but like, I don't know. I guess I do want to keep in mind that
it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do.
There was nothing to compare it to because it was just on a much larger scale than ever before.
I just want to say, like, huge props to the teacher, William David Sanders. Huge props to him. Like, he died for those kids, basically. Like, he is the reason why a vast majority of those kids survived that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, huge props to that guy. Mad respect. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did not die in vain. All I have to say.
No, I mean, a lot of every single kid that survived that needed therapy, and I hope they got it. Yeah. Well, thank you, Alexis.
Thank you guys for listening.
I'm in here with the dark story.
Good story.
Thank you. Got me really emotional there, though.
Not a good story. Good storytelling. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on from my story into Jay's.
Mine. Oh gosh. Oh golly.
Golly gee.
No, honestly, I'm really glad that I kind of did this shorter. I don't know if you can call it a story, but that's for you to decide.
Okay, cool.
Because today we're not actually delving into anything to do with the cryptid or UFOs, and it's not a haunting either. But because I'm a little cuckoo, I would totally be down for this.
Oh,
okay.
And I know Alexis would not be down. Maybe Kai.
I probably would, maybe, depending.
So
that's right.
This is skydiving. I don't know if you've heard of it, if you haven't heard of it, or how much you know. This is called the elevator game.
What? Never heard of that. No.
Wait, neither of you have heard from the elevator game?
No.
I don't think so.
Woo! Sorry, I feel right now like I hit the jackpot.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, continue.
Okay, because this isn't like your normal game. So it's kind of like modern urban legends. It kind of like took the internet by storm. So there's like where did this start? It's a little fuzzy because no one can really agree where it started. It just started in the internet, but people were saying that it came from East Asia, and there were arguments whether it was from Japan or South Korea, but one of those two locations, that's where it originated.
Okay.
Now, think of this kind of like a ritual. Kind of like if you were to play Bloody Mary or the Ouija board, the elevator game, it's actually very, very similar.
Okay.
So to play the elevator, if you were to play the elevator game correctly, like you followed all the rules, you're supposed to be able to access another dimension.
Yo! I play this game.
Okay, no, look, what kind of dimension though?
Okay, so that's the thing. So some people call it the elevator game. Other names that it goes by is elevator to hell.
Okay.
What?
Maybe not.
There.
Yeah, okay. So that's why it was like by the end of today's chat, like we might be tempted to take a ride on the elevator, or maybe we'll just take the stairs.
I mean, I might still go with the elevator. I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Now, it's not something that you could do by accident unless, I mean, maybe you could, but there's some requirements for the elevator game. So first off, you need to go to a building that has at least 10 stories.
What?
Okay. Yeah. So if you live like in a 6-room, like 6-floor apartment, you're good. Like you can't accidentally play the elevator game. It has to be like 10 stories and above. Now, some of the rules, it's been said very clearly that you can only play this game by yourself. That it will not work if you play it with other people.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, some people say that you are able to do it with other, like some sites said that you're able to do it with other, like with friends if you all stick together. But like if one of you chickens out and leaves, you guys have to like start all over again.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Come on, Alexis.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. I would never.
Now,
I probably would.
There's no math involved, but there is a lot of numbers.
Oh, okay. I don't do well with numbers.
So the directions are kind of clear. 10 floors, and you can play at any time of the day. It just has to be a time where like no one will accidentally get on the elevator with you.
Okay.
Because then you have to restart the game all over again.
Okay.
So most people usually play it during the nighttime. Like the witching hour.
4:20 a.m.
That's when like there's the least chance that someone's gonna go on the elevator when you're on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to play the elevator game, step number 1, it's quite simple. You have to get on the elevator on the first floor alone. And if anyone else gets in the game, it does, like in the elevator, it doesn't work. Now, step 2 is that from the first floor, you're going to press the button, and it's going to take you up to the 4th floor.
Oh, okay. I'm finally picking up what you're putting down now. Okay, yeah. Continue.
Wait,
okay.
What do you mean? What were you not understanding?
No. Because like in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, like Bloody Mary, like oh, okay, like okay, wait. Oh wait, okay. You
instead of calling someone's name out, you're gonna press buttons.
No. Like I was thinking of it like an imaginary elevator for some reason. Okay, continue.
Like in an elevator, you chant something.
You start levitating up, like.
No, I was like thinking like you didn't actually have to be in an elevator to play this game. But you do.
Oh, okay. You do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So. Step 1 is you get on the first floor. Step 2, you press the 4th floor. So you're going to go from the first floor to the 4th floor. Once you reach the 4th floor, do not get out of the elevator.
Oh, okay.
From the 4th floor, you're going to press the 2nd floor. So now you're going to come back down to the 2nd floor, and then you're going to click floor 6. So then you're going to go from floor number 2 to floor number 6.
Okay, 1.26. Okay.
Yeah, and then from 6, you're going to press number 2 again. So you go back down to number 2.
14262.
Yeah.
Now, once you're down there on the 2nd floor, you're going to press number 10.
Okay, 1426210. Okay.
You're going to go up to the 10th floor, and then that's when you're going to press the button for the 5th floor.
Okay, 14262
10.
5. Now, some versions say that when you reach the 5th floor, a woman may enter the elevator.
Oh.
So
I don't want her to.
So if you go from the 10th floor to the 5th floor, I don't know, Kai. Do you want to find out? So when you come back down to the 5th floor, some people say that a woman enters the elevator. Heads up, if a woman does enter the elevator, do not look at her. Do not even speak to her, even if she tries to speak to you or ask for help, because she's not human.
Okay, so I won't be able to tell if she's cute.
No.
No.
Not
so
once.
So once the woman's in the elevator, after reaching the 5th floor, you're going to press the button to the 1st floor.
Okay. 142621051.
Yeah.
So when you do that, one of two things can happen.
Okay.
If you press the number 1 and the elevator comes down to the 1st floor, exit the elevator, do not look back, do not speak, just leave the building.
Oh, okay. Leave the building. Damn. All right.
Now, the other thing that can happen is that if you press the 1st floor, the elevator will start ascending to the 10th floor instead of going back down to the 1st floor.
So 14262105110.
Yeah.
No, but
no,
you don't press 10.
you press
just
But
1.
go
no,
up.
potentially. But I
It
know
will
you
take
press
you to
1
the
and
10th
then
floor.
up to 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, so if the elevator takes you up to the 10th floor, you've made it to the other world.
Sick.
So
I got
things
places.
look different. Like some people have said that the power will be out. Other people have said that when the doors open, you're able to see like a red cross out of the window
Oh, hell
at the
no.
very end.
Nah.
And people say that electronics don't work.
Jesus scares me. I'm sorry, what? What?
So if you decide to leave the elevator to explore, you're welcome to do so. But once again, do not interact or acknowledge anyone that you meet on the other side, because once again, they're not humans.
Bro,
I
this
see.
is crazy.
Yeah, so this other world is supposed to like mimic our own world, but it's like a darker version. So think of like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Okay.
The upside down. Okay.
Yeah. Now, you're welcome to explore whatever. To get back to the real world, you have to take the exact same elevator you took to get up. Like if it's one of those
okay, you
buildings that
can't-
has multiple elevators, you can't get in a
Yeah.
different one. You have to take the exact same one.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, so you use the same elevator, and the numbers are the exact same, but they're just reverse. So it's going to be 4262105.
Yeah.
So you would want to write it down rather than have it on your phone, because if electronics actually don't work, then you're
Yeah.
kind of screwed unless you have a good memory.
I love memorizing numbers, so I'll be good.
Now, some people have also said
No,
that
you
when
should write it down.
Yeah, you should write it down. multiple, like you should like have it in your arm, in a paper, in your other
I'm
arm.
just gonna get it tattooed on me.
Yeah.
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 Now, some people have said that when they try to press the button to come back, the elevator doors don't open. So you just have to keep pressing it until the elevator's open.
Bro, that's scary though.
Yeah. Especially because now you're in a different world.
Yeah.
Literally, or like you're in hell apparently.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. According to some people, elevator to hell.
Yeah, wait
so
away.
the sequence to get back is really simple. You press the buttons: 4th floor, 2nd floor, 6th floor, 2nd floor, 10th floor, and 5th floor.
5th floor.
Now,
Yeah.
after that, after you're in the 5th floor, you should press the 1st floor button, and the elevator will attempt to bring you back to the original world. And I say it, yes,
Yeah,
and I say
yeah.
it because once again, one of two things can happen. If you click the 1st floor and it starts, if the elevator starts going up to the 10th floor instead of going down, press any other button to cancel this action. You don't want to reach the 10th floor.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. If the elevator starts to go down to the 1st floor, you'll end up home. Once again, when you reach the 1st floor, before you leave the elevator this time, just observe your surroundings, make sure that everything looks normal, because it might feel like you're back in your own world, but you might see some things out of place that are unusual. If that happens, do not exit the elevator. You have to repeat the numbers again.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So once again, go ahead.
I kind of wish we could do this with the elevator at the house.
That's what I was
There's
thinking.
only like
It needs
4
10
floors.
I know, but
I mean, there's
yeah.
3. It goes to 3 in the basement. Yeah. Yeah. If you go down to the basement, it won't work. So once again, it's between the 1st floor and the 10th floor.
Yeah.
But once again, don't leave the elevator until you feel like you're confident that you're back in the original world. And once again, exit the building, leave. And like I said, there's different variations, but they're all very set in stone
Similar.
of what order is that number that you go up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot of like stories out there, like in like Reddit, and like I tried searching for a story to share with all of you. Not as easy as I thought, because some of the stories end with, and I'm still stuck in the world. And I'm just like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a little bit more of a genuine story of like, hey, I played it and it kind of just like made me feel weird, this and that. Some people have said that they left the elevator and that they still feel like they brought something home with them. So they feel like they didn't get back the right way, so they have to do the elevator game again. So
I guess we'll just have to make our own story, you know what I'm saying?
Make up our own story.
Yeah.
You don't mean like experience their own?
Playing the elevator game at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
Just like what's it? Sam and Crosby.
Colby, bro.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Now that you heard this, would you play the elevator game?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would as well. I would.
Maybe.
I think.
See, the thing
but
is,
I feel like
you're supposed to play by yourself, but like, you can have your friends wait in the lobby for you.
I think I want my friends to wait with me because you got scary.
We'll wait in the lobby for you.
Yeah. So like, if I see you guys, then I know it's you. But what if? But
Will
what
you?
if? Yeah, I was gonna say. But what if they're like the non-human you? That's creepy.
That's when we have to have like a secret word, like a password.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to speak.
No, but we could, because we're not playing the elevator game.
Oh yeah, so true. Okay, so like if you guys talk, then I know it's you. But if you guys don't talk, then you know.
No. If we tell you the secret password.
Yeah. Okay, swag. I just gotta find a 10-story apartment complex.
Or any other building.
Apartments next door to.
Probably.
That wouldn't be tall enough.
You don't want to tell them we're going to be playing the elevator game.
Yeah.
No, I mean, do they have 10 floors?
I think it's 7.
No, it's 7.
Yeah, we have to find a taller one.
Yeah. I
Google?
mean, there's. Yeah. We'll go there.
Hey, Google, you're to sponsor us? I don't even think they have 10 stories. Do they?
We'll make them have 10 stories.
We'll find one.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the elevator game. Now, I know we're running short on time, so I will end it right here for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the elevator game.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you for sharing. That was cool.
Check our TikTok. We'll be playing the elevator game.
I'll be down. I'm so down.
No promises, but still check out our TikTok. Nothing there right now, but
yet
we'll get there soon. Yeah.
I'll be the recorder, the cameraman for the TikTok.
No, you're gonna be in it.
You're gonna be playing it.
Talkity. Yeah. I don't even have the tickety talkity, so I don't know how the tickety talkity workity.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Gotta go up to go.
Honestly, that's the elevator game. Okay, no. It is.
That's so true. You
gotta go up to go down to go up to go down to go up to go down.
You have to go up to go up. You go down to go down to go. You have to go up to go down to go. You have to go down to go down to go up.
Yeah, I'm looking at those numbers right now, and it really is just up to down, up to down. Yeah, I love that.
All right,
we're already experts.
Let's move on to
what do you have for us?
All right.
Gotta be good, know what I mean?
Well, has he ever given something that's not good?
In honor of me needing to get a haircut very badly.
Okay, you are. Okay.
My case today is going to be a short one about the Phantom Barber of Pascagoula, Mississippi.
What? I've never heard of this Phantom Barber.
Yeah, I hadn't either until I, researched this case, and I was like, what does this mean? I was like, what's a Phantom Barber gonna do? Like, can he give me a cut?
With a wig.
I don't know, because I really need one. My
with a
hair,
wig.
my hairstylist is not taking appointments right now.
Oh.
So sad. Okay, so the Phantom Barber terrorized the residents of Pascagoula, Mississippi, and surrounding sittings for actually only a very short period of time, only June of 1942. So only 1 month is when the Phantom Barber was active, and that's really why this case is pretty short.
Yeah, that's a little wild for a haunting too.
Yeah. Well, it's, it sounds like haunting because Phantom, right? But it's more of like a true crime than anything. A mystery.
I'm intrigued.
Yes. So, okay. So the first two victims of the Phantom Barber were two girls, Mary Evelyn Briggs and Edna Marie Heidel. It was the middle of the night on Friday, June 5th, 1942, when the two girls who were sleeping in their shared room in Our Lady of Victory's Covenant, they woke to find a man crawling out of their window. They were spooked by this. They just saw him like crawling right out, trying to fit right through.
Are you sure this is not like a demon story?
I mean, it's unsolved. Maybe, I don't know. We're not too sure.
It was Sully for Monsters Inc.
It was. He was training. So they woke up to find this man crawling out of their window, and the two girls realized that large pieces of their hair were cut. So locks of their hair had been cut, but otherwise nothing else bad had happened. They were perfectly fine. The room was normal. So the Phantom Barber, he came in, cut off these girls' hair, and then left. And that was really the first sighting, his first, I guess you could call it, attack that he did. There is a description of this man that came from this, though. So Mary, one of the girls, she woke up first before Edna. And so Mary had managed to wake up in time to actually get a look at the perpetrator. She said, quote, "I saw the figure of a kind of short, fat man bending over me with something shiny in his hand, and he was fooling with my hair. When he saw me open my eyes, he said, 'Shh.' I yelled. He jumped out of the window."
What?
Yeah, and so
the emotional, the psychological damage that these girls have.
Yeah, I think they were only around 7 years old. At the time.
No.
So
they were even worse.
Yeah, they are pretty young. And yeah, imagine you're in the middle of the night, you see a short, fat man in his eyes just staring at you, holding a pair of scissors, snipping off your hair.
No, literally. Yeah. I'd be so pissed off. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I know.
But don't
the
do
parents
that.
Would not be like, "Oh, the Oogie Boogie's going to get you." It would be the barber.
Boogity boogie.
The barber is coming to get you.
No, literally.
Behave.
So yeah, that happened. And these quotes I am pulling from newspapers from back then in 1942.
Yes, were you able to find some?
Yeah, so there's actually pictures of the newspapers with their quotes on them. It's pretty cool.
I love that. I love the newspaper clippings.
Yeah, so that happened. It was Friday. The next attack happened a few days later. It happened on Monday. So, Monday, just a few days after. So in the span of less than a week, he already had 3 victims, the Phantom Barber. So this third attack was on a 6-year-old named Carol Piety.
Bro, why is he targeting these young girls?
I don't know.
That's what I was going to ask about the age.
Yeah, so Carol woke up in the middle of the night. She was sleeping. She was actually sleeping next to her twin brother in that room.
Aww.
But she woke up to find that, a lot of her hair had been cut off. Like this time it was a lot of hair. Not just like a chunk or like a lock, but a decent bit was cut off. Nothing really happened of it. She didn't see him leave, but she did see that the screen of her window was cut open. And so that's how the Phantom Barber had managed to get in and out. And apparently they also saw a sandy footprint, like on one of the empty beds in the bedroom. And so they believe
Mr.
that was from the
Sandman.
Phantom Barber as well. What?
Mr. Sandman.
Bring me a dream.
Mr. Sandman does not take hair.
Making the cutest that I've ever seen. Yeah, okay. Apparently he wasn't that cute though. So, short, fat man, apparently.
Yeah.
Has a thing for hair.
Just like
Exactly.
me for real.
But the thing is, it was only for hair. He didn't hurt them whatsoever. There was no harm that came to these girls. Nothing was disturbed other than their hair. They reported that there was no harm that came to any of them. So even
I guess
after,
that's, like, good, but
yeah, I guess so. But like even after, after even being seen, he still didn't turn to like violence. He just fled and he jumped out the window.
He was a little shy.
Not sure. Mm-hmm.
I would also imagine that the families and the kids are like thinking of like, is he going to come back tonight? Or like, is he going to come back?
Yeah. Continue.
So there was one sort of like final attack that happened. It was late June. I believe it was right at the end of June. There's not an exact date, but right at the end of June, it was a Sunday night. And there was a lady, her name was Mrs. R.R. Taylor. She had her hair cut, just like the other girls, but she was an adult woman this time. So not a child anymore. Don't know why, what led him to moving to an adult rather than the girls. Sorry, not Mrs. R.R. Taylor, Mrs. R.E. Taylor. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Mrs. Taylor. Mrs. Taylor was another victim to the crime, and she also has a little thing in a newspaper article as well. So it was June 23rd was the date, and so Mrs. Taylor reported that she had about 2 inches of her hair that was cut off while she slept in her bedroom with her husband and her daughters. But she said that when she had kind of managed to wake up a little bit as it was happening. And there's a quote, I had a vague feeling of something passing over my face, then woke up feeling ill, end quote. So she had felt something over her face. She felt ill in the morning, and this led her to believe that the Phantom Barber was using chloroform to keep her and the children asleep while he was cutting off their hair.
No.
Oh, wow.
Was there ever any proof of that?
No, there was no proof other than the report by Mrs. Taylor. So, of just her feeling that pass over her face, her feeling ill. I do believe there was like a bit of a smell. But yeah, so the police did an investigation, and they determined that the barber, he cut open the window screen, put a chloroform soaked rag over Mrs. Taylor's face, and then collected the lock of hair. So she had been woken up by something with a sickening smell. So they definitely thought it was chloroform that happened.
Wow.
But still, it seems that there was no actual harm done. Just hair being cut. And you would think so, but earlier that month, on June 13th, so a little bit after the first 3 girls had happened with the incident. There was an account of it was in the middle of the night. It was the home of a Mr. and Mrs. Heidelberg. Their home was invaded. So with the investigation, they found that the window screen was cut. That's how the invader had come inside. But instead of just, taking hair, Mr. and Mrs. Heidelberg were actually physically attacked. This perpetrator used, so not hair anymore. Somehow people think it could have escalated. Apparently a heavy iron bar was used to bludgeon the couple.
Oh no.
Mrs. Heidelberg's, some of her teeth were said to be knocked out. Her husband, Mr. Heidelberg, was knocked unconscious. So neither of them could get a description of the attacker because it just happened all too fast. But that started a pretty big investigation.
And did they take anything from their house?
No, nothing was taken. And that's the thing. People still aren't 100% sure if this was the Phantom Barber because it's just such a different MO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just went from hair to this and then back to hair. They're not too sure. But a lot of this terror, and it happened, the police were in shambles because it was 1942. It was the midst of World War II.
Yeah.
And because of the industry and the production that was being needed back during that time, the population of the city went from 5,000 people to 15,000 people in just about little in a 2-year span. So it blew up, and the police were having a hard time, keeping track of people, of policing and doing their job. So
yeah, of course.
what they did is they started a big investigation for this attacker. The police, they deputized 6 volunteers, 6 men. So they gave them, weapons and the arrest permits. And then the police, they brought in bloodhounds to pick up the scent from the scene.
Damn.
So
did they pick anything up?
So yeah, the bloodhounds, they managed to follow a trail into the nearby woods. They found a pair of bloodstained gloves, but that was as far as they got. So a lot of theories say the police theorize that the attacker probably stashed a bike in the woods. So they attacked, ran to the woods, got on the bike, and then just rode away. And so that's really where they lost it after that.
Damn.
But yeah, after this, everyone was on high alert. They were looking for this man.
Yeah.
They were looking for this man. The police would put more patrols up on the streets. They even requested assistance from the state police. Later on, years down the line, even the FBI would get involved about it.
Damn.
Yeah. So the thing is, the army had, I guess, nighttime regulations, essentially a curfew during that time, right? Because it was the middle of the World War II. But since there was that curfew, it meant that the Phantom Barber could just move throughout the night completely undetected.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Nobody was there to see him. He could do whatever he wanted. So it actually got to the point where the army relaxed the regulations to let people actually be out, that they would find the Phantom Barber. They put out a cash reward. It eventually started as a $300 reward from the police chief at the time.
That's pretty good.
Complaints were coming in, quote, hard and heavy. And so they put out a $300 reward. Eventually it went up to $400 because a local company put in some money towards it to help for the apprehension. Okay. Another 100 added by the sheriff of Jackson County. So so they were in Jackson County where it was happening because, even the county was being terrorized by it. So
Yeah.
it was a $500 reward now to find this person. So yeah, it was the end of June, June 23rd, when the last lady, Mrs. Taylor, was attacked with the chloroform. And actually, it was the next day that it was announced that there was an arrest that had been made in connection with the Phantom Barber.
Oh.
So it seemed they had finally found him. Everybody was, relieved. They were ecstatic that he had been arrested. But nothing was proven. The sheriff and the police chief, they were still so confused at what the motive was. They didn't know what happened. So the man that was arrested eventually was just kind of let loose. There's not too much documented on that. Yeah, so that relief of, arresting that guy would not last. People were still scared of the Phantom Barber going around.
Yeah.
So, there was the people who still thought that the Phantom Barber and the person who attacked with the pipe could be different people. But of course, they were scared that it was all that same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a copycat.
A copycat?
Yeah, maybe.
Could have been. Kind of stopped at the end of June. He only did a few attacks, like I mentioned. And it wasn't until the very end of July, so a month later, that there was an actual arrest that had been made in regards to the Phantom Barber. It was a man named William Dolan. He was 57 years old, and he did live in the city. He was charged for attempted murder. So they found him because it said that, or the police claimed at least, that there was a large bundle of human hair found behind his home.
Oh.
Yeah, so there was the hair that was behind his home, and then William Dolan, he also had a problem with the Heidelberg family. So, yeah, and the Heidelberg family was the family that got beaten with
the iron bar.
Yeah, so Dolan, he got arrested a few months prior for trespassing onto their property, onto the Heidelberg family's father, and so he got arrested for that. So there was that motive there that the police found. Yeah, on top of finding that human hair. So I mentioned the FBI stepping in earlier. This is sort of where the FBI come in. It wasn't until many years later, so all of this had already, gone by. But the FBI did later identify that some of the hair belonged to Carol Piety, the third victim, that little girl.
Yeah, the 6
No way.
Yeah. But yeah, after he was captured, he was quickly sentenced to 10 years in prison for the attempted murder. But so there's that. But then there's also another theory for motive behind it. Dolan was a Nazi sympathizer.
No, I'm sorry. Goodbye.
I don't know.
Yep, he was a German-educated chemist that was living there. He was a Nazi sympathizer. It was the middle of World War II, so that was not okay. So people think that his attacks were there to hurt the morale of the residents, of the workers, and just kind of get in their heads, create a little bit of terror. So that was definitely a thing as well. Dolan was eventually arrested, but he maintained that he was innocent, throughout the entire process. All of these charges, everything like that. He stood trial, but of course was found guilty, sentenced to prison.
Yeah.
Good.
But the thing is, was he actually the killer, or was he, or the attacker?
Yeah.
There was lots of motive behind it, but a lot of it was based in fear, since it was World War II. Just because he was a Nazi sympathizer doesn't mean that he did the crimes.
Yeah.
That's true.
6 years later, after he was arrested, so 1942 was when it happened, 1948. 6 years later, the governor of Mississippi, Fielding Wright, he reviewed the case. He asked William Dolan to take a lie detector test. Dolan passed it. So,
damn.
He was his sentence was like lifted essentially, and then he was set free in 1951. So 3 years later.
Wow.
So it still remains unsolved.
That's so
Nobody
wild.
knows who the Phantom Barber is.
Because to invade someone's home to take some of their hair is
wild.
I mean, until now, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? What was he doing with it? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. When I did the Great Emu War, I was actually debating on the Emu War or this case, the Phantom Barber. Yeah. I was debating on those two, and then I just went with the Emu War because I felt like it fit me better. I don't know. Plus, I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So I didn't really know the extent of the Phantom Barber. So thank you.
No, yeah, thank you for
welcome.
Sure. I'm gonna be sure to lock my window.
It's fun reading these newspaper
clippings.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Did you use like the newspaperclipping.com?
No, there's one. It's called blog.newspapers.com.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, like there's like the one of him getting arrested. It's just like German is arrested as Phantom Barber. See morale attack. And I don't know. It's just cool. It's like Dolan was charged in connection with an assault on Terrell Heidelberg and his wife by the Phantom Barber. They're beaten on the night of June 13th. They were beaten with an iron pipe and were the only victims of the barber who suffered physical harm beyond losing their hair. Yeah, I know. It's just fun reading these newspaper articles.
Yeah,
it really is. Whoa, I love it. Thank you.
Cool.
I just sent it to the group chat, Jay.
Nice. I see it. Cool. I like how you're the one that sent it to me and not Kai.
Oh, right? Literally thought about that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I love it. Thank you.
I guess this was probably the website you were going to use then, if you did the case. So
yeah, it was.
And I pulled from a bunch of different websites, but this was the main one that had like the most newspaper clippings.
Nice.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you all for listening.
That brings us to the end.
It does bring us to the end.
This was like a really hard episode. Yeah. This was a hard episode for me. I don't know.
Oh, it was a hard story for you, and I could tell. And it's kind of nice that we kind of just like had two lighter stories to make up for it.
Yeah. I think like the true crime podcaster rite of passage is to cover a hard story.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Coming up eventually.
Well, I mean, you already have. Like you did. You already have had like your true crime story.
I like how you're like, you did.
No, like. Like the boy painter, and
that one did get to me, and I don't know why.
Nah, it was understandable why it got to you.
Mm-hmm. He's just a kid.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Episode 7 in the books.
Yeah.
Tune in 2 weeks for our next one, episode 8.
Yeah, we want to let you know that like our episodes are not weekly; they're every other week.
Yeah.
We do have a set schedule.
Yes, we do.
We're not just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah, so if you want to support us, go ahead and leave a review. Go share the podcast. Write it in so we know that people are listening.
Yes.
Yeah. If you give us like a 5-star, we'd be real happy with that too.
Yeah, even if you don't feel like we deserve 5 stars, give us 5 stars.
Yeah, there's already enough cruelty out in the world.
If you hated this podcast, share it with your enemies. They'll love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you like this podcast, share it with your friends. If you hate it, share it with your enemies.
Exactly.
Like your enemies. Wait away.
Well, and once again, check out our socials.
Yeah.
And
Chambers of the Occult.
Yeah.
.com.
Instagram, Tickety Talkety, YouTube, you name it, we got it.
MySpace. AOL.
AOL.
Yeah, maybe not that one. But
No, yeah. I wish so.
Peace out, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, Rainbow Trout.
Alexis.
Yeah?
Anything you want to say before we sign out?
Josh Hutcherson.
No,
Bye.
bleep it out. Bleep it out. Bye.
Bye.